Alright guys, so we're just going to do a quick overview on Google Forms, and what you're going to do is you can either type it in the Omnibar or you can do your suite. And I'm going to change into my educator thing, and I'm going to go down just because Forms is not a thing that I constantly am using. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit blank. You have several different templates that you can try. We're going to start a blank form. Up here is where you're going to title it. So we're going to do example 2. Questions and responses. It's going to say here you can do a description if you just want to say this is what it's for. All right, so you can do questions several different ways. You can insert a image and then ask questions. You can ask a question. It is best practice to always make sure your students have their name on something. With Google Forms, if you do not have the question like first and last name or what is your name, oftentimes that the students it'll just pull from their emails unless your emails are based off of your names. A lot of times emails are going to just be numbers for the students, and so that's what you would get, and that would just be extra work. So you can just ask them what their name is. You can make it a required question. Required just means that, hey, it's going to be required. All right, so short answer can be your answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down, file upload, linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date and time. These would be great for math. These would be great for any other subject. You could even do a grid for science depending on what type of science you do. All right, so you've got different options over to your side. You've got add question. Maybe you want to import a question from another quiz. You want to add an image. You want to add a video, or you want to add a section. And adding a section just kind of breaks the test into different sections. So maybe this would be your top part would be multiple choice. Then below would be your lovely essay question. Maybe if you teach LA or even if you teach math and you want to know, hey, how do they write something? I will give you a heads up that if you're going to do with an ELL student or even a special ed student, a lot of times having an image is going to help them with descriptions. And so maybe if you're working on in science, what type of biome is this? If you're speaking about the different types of land or areas around us and you provided us a picture of it, that would help the students. And then you could just to the side have the text. There is several different ways for you can do with the lovely forms for responses. This is when you have the students finish their test or whatever. If you wanted to have the students do a survey for self-reflection to say, hey, how did it go for your class? How did it go for your presentation? Do you think your partner works really well? Anytime you can have the students reflect and not make it like such a big deal public, you're going to have a great response because they feel safe and comfortable. Or if you have number responses, you would say accepting response. Now, if you say not accepting response when they try your test, they're not going to be able to give any information. But it'll go into create a new spreadsheet, or you could add it to a new spreadsheet that you already have. And it may not show up just because we don't really have that number. But as you can see, I've got my example 2, my timestamp, what is your name? So based off of each of the questions, it's going to give you. So it's just kind of neat to see how your example that can turn into a Google sheet, and especially after we've just talked about Google Sheets. There are several different things that you can do. You can customize the theme. You can make it where you can actually see what the test looks like and then answer your own question. If you want to do settings, there are going to be 3 different ways. Just a general, if you want to collect email addresses, you want to just have the kids do it once. And then even if they've submitted it to you for via Google Classroom, how they can do it, and then see summary charts and text responses. Presentation, show link to another response, show progress bar. If you want to say, hey, your response has recorded. This will let them know that you did receive the information. Or if you wanted to do, if you're doing a quiz, you can make it a quiz. And you can assign point value. Locked mode on Chromebooks is great. It's one way that you can make sure that students are not able to leave the test until they're finished. So in case you have anyone who wants to try to cheat, you can also have it if it's a multiple choice. They can immediately have it after each submission, or you can do it later after manual review, after you maybe have to read a written part like an essay or something, and then respondents can see what they've missed and the correct answers when everybody's finished. It is important to note that Google Forms is a great way to have the students reflect upon their own learning. You can use it as a survey. You could even use Forms as a survey for your parents and then just turn it into a Google Sheet, and you'll be able to have your reference of all your parent information right there. And we just did that. You can do several different options. You can make a copy, move to trash, get a pre-filled link, which is what you would want to do for your class. And all you would do is click it, copy, and insert it in Google Classroom, or however in an email to your parents as a survey. You can do print, add collaborators if you wanted to share it with someone, and preference. And also with your settings, just like everything else, you have to click it. And we just went through that, excuse me. All right, so if you're going to send it, might want to, if you add collaborators, depending on your link, you can embed it into a website. So maybe if you have a classroom website and you wanted to get some information from parents, direct them to your classroom website, you can embed it into the HTML, which would just be a Google site, which we'll talk about in a minute, a link, or you can send it via email. So, and you can include the form in the email to get it, or you could even tweet it if you would like. So this is just a pretty quick example of Google Forms. I'll actually show you one that I've done before in the past to just kind of give you an example of how it looks.